Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're going to give it a couple minutes just as everybody joins. So just sit tight and we'll get started in just a minute or two. Welcome, everyone. We're just watching the numbers tick up as people continue to join. So we're just going to give it another minute while our participants keep joining. Okay, great. I think we can go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our application tips webinar about the Master of Advanced Management program here at the Yale School of Management. We're really excited to be here today and to share some tips and tricks from the admissions committee to those of you who are hopefully working on an application or are considering applying to this program. So we'll do some quick introductions and then we're going to kind of go through our program briefly a little bit just to kind of introduce the program. And then we're really going to focus most of this webinar on breaking down each and every element of the application and giving you some words of wisdom and things to think about for each part of the application to the Master of Advanced Management program. My name is Evelyn Wilson. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions for the MAM program, and I'm joined by my colleague, Matt. Do you want to say hi, Matt?
Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Lassance. I'm the Assistant Director for Admissions here with the Master of Advanced Management program.
Thanks, Matt. So as I said, we're going to do a quick intro of the program and then really focus on the application tips from our perspective for the program. So the Master of Advanced Management program is a 9-month full-time in-residence program at the Yale School of Management. It is designed for students who have either recently completed or are currently working towards an MBA. So the curriculum is very flexible and it's really designed to complement your MBA studies. Um, Later on, we're going to post our brochure in the chat. So you can keep an eye out for that and download it and take a look at it a little bit later as well. And we'll also be reserving time at the end for Q&A with both Matt and myself in case any questions don't get answered throughout this presentation. So the mission at the School of Management is to educate leaders for business and society. This is definitely something that we really take to heart, and we try and have this element kind of be present in every aspect of life here at Yale School of Management. We're really aiming to develop leaders who are able to think critically about the big issues that business leaders are facing today and to consider multiple perspectives when finding solutions. We're really focused on bringing students to SOM who have a deep sense of purpose in their work. And that means that Yale SOM is a really unique environment and a wonderful place to meet and interact with other students who also share this sense of purpose, but it could be across all disciplines. So the people here are really doing amazing work across all fields and all disciplines. Now I'm going to hand it over to Matt to talk a little bit about the opportunities and a bit more specifics about the curriculum of the MAM program.
Hi, everyone. So looking at some of the opportunities provided through this program, it really gives students the opportunity to go extraordinarily deep into some of their interests. So many of our students have been in business programs or have gotten their MBA and it really was focused on business topics and they want a career in sustainability or something revolving around sustainability or ESG. And so this program gives them that opportunity to dive a little bit deeper into ESG and sustainability and some of those topics within a business setting. On the other side, you also have the opportunity to go a little bit broader. So you may have dove deep in your MBA or undergrad and learned a lot about business or sustainability or something to that effect, but maybe you want to shore up some of those other skills. You want to get a little bit more finance knowledge, or I know we've had students in the past that have taken courses at the School of Drama to try and shore up some of their presentation skills. It really gives you the opportunity to go both ways, diving deep or to shore up a number of skills and kind of round out your toolbox that maybe you feel will set you up for success once you've completed the program. Some of the other opportunities and things that you get from the program is two networks, two brands. You now have your MBA program's network, brand, all of that behind you and on your resume. But on top of that, you now have access to the Yale network as well as Yale's brand going on your resume. You also have some great opportunities for global careers. Uh, Speaking, alongside that network and branding and everything, we have a great career development office that works with our students to really help set them up for success and put them in a great spot to have a global career if that's something they're passionate about. And then, as Evelyn just touched on, a community of purpose. I think our mission says it all, to educate leaders for business and society. And that's something that starts at the top and goes all the way from the president of the school all the way down to the last student that comes in that day. I think everybody has that same mission and really wants to make sure that we take care of society and do what we can to succeed in the business world. So looking a little bit at the MAM curriculum, as mentioned, it offers a lot of flexibility to really dive deep or have that broad perspective. As you can see in yellow, you'll see the 2 required courses or 4 units of required course material. Both of those will be global leadership courses. And one of the really great things that many of our students have said is those 2 courses in particular are a great way to really stick with your MAM cohort and learn with them, grow together. And it's something that we've started to hear a lot of them say are some of their favorite courses. On top of that, in blue, you're going to see 36 units of elective courses. So those elective courses can come from the more than 170 offered at the School of Management, but you also now have the ability to learn from leading professors at Yale's other 12 professional schools and the graduate schools of arts and sciences. So as I mentioned, if you're interested in School of the Environment, if you're interested in healthcare, you can take courses in that School of Law, Jackson School for Global Affairs. Really, the opportunities are endless and are only kind of bound by what you choose to do. Now, one of the other opportunities available to students is the management science concentration, or now major. You would complete a minimum of 16 credit units of eligible courses, and those courses will focus on quantitative methods and putting those methods to challenges in business and management. There's 26 elective options that you can choose from, including some of the most popular ones you can see there: sports analytics, quantitative finance, game theory. Now, one of the other reasons that many students may be interested in this major, in this opportunity, is normally you would have 1 year of OPT or optional practical training upon graduation. And through this major, you may be eligible for an additional 2 year STEM extension, giving you the potential for 3 years of work permission in the US upon graduation if accepted. And now we'll take a look at what that looks like. So as you can see on the wheel, the yellow still remains as your 2 global leadership courses. And in white, you're going to see the 16 units of STEM or management science major courses. Then you still have in blue 20 units of elective courses. So that still leaves you a lot of room to dive deep into something else that you might be interested in, or really work on those skills that you want to shore up so that you can hit the ground running when you graduate and get into the business world. Now, what does our application process look like? I know many of you are either in the process of completing an application or maybe completing one shortly. So it's an online application. You would log in and you're going to complete 3 essays. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into each part of this in just a few minutes. You would add your resume. Please make sure it's updated. Submit transcripts. You're going to need to complete the GMAT or GRE test and submit that score. We also are now accepting the GMAT Focus Edition of the GMAT test, and that is a requirement. You would submit 2 letters of recommendation. One of those is going to be from the dean or director of your MBA program, and the other one would be a professional reference. And we'll dive again a little bit deeper into those and some of the other requirements, you're going to have 3 video questions that once you've paid the application fee and submitted your application, those will come to you within about 24 hours, I believe. And then if invited, you would be invited for an interview, which you would sign up for, and then you get to interview with potentially myself, Evelyn, Camino, or Kate. So some great opportunities there. And then the application deadlines, the round 1 deadline has come and gone, but round 2 is coming up soon, February 21st. So there's still plenty of time to apply if you are interested in applying. And then round 3, April 9th. And I do want to emphasize that we do have room in each round. So round 1 did not fill up. Round 2 is not going to fill the class. There's room in every round for great students that we feel are going to, benefit in the program and really help excel in that program. So looking at the MAM, we understand that it is a cost, it is a big cost, but it's an investment in yourself, your education, and hopefully your future career. So for this upcoming class, the tuition and fees would be $85,400, and that is the official fee that we just found out about. Living expenses, we estimate to be about 32,000 and change. And so that is a lot, but we do have a lot of different funding options. So when you submit your application, if you are admitted to the program, immediately you would be eligible for merit-based scholarship. And when you receive your admissions letter, you'll also receive that merit-based scholarship. Then, once you receive that, there is an opportunity to apply for additional scholarships. Once you've been admitted, you can apply right through the program. And if you have any questions on that, once admitted, you can definitely reach out to us and ask those. And then if there are still funding needs, there are international student loans, and we work with some providers. There are other scholarship opportunities potentially, and then on-campus student employment. But we do work with every student to try to make sure that if you're admitted and if the program is something that is really going to benefit you, that the MAM is affordable and something that you're able to do. And I'm going to pass it back over to Evelyn.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, so just a reminder, we're going to be saving time at the end of this presentation for questions and answers that we might not have already addressed during the rest of this presentation. So hold on to your questions, but if you do still have any questions remaining after we've gone through each step of the application, please use the Q&A feature in this webinar and we'd be happy to address them at the end. Okay, so now we're going to focus on breaking down the application in each individual part, and Matt and I are kind of going to go back and forth and share some of our perspectives on what we're looking for in each of these elements of the application. So first up is our essays. So we have 3 essay prompts, and these essays are short. They're only about 250 or to 300 words each. So you don't have a lot of ability to kind of go off on tangents or anything like that. So make sure that you're kind of sticking to the point when you're addressing each of these essay questions. But let's look at each one of them now. So the first one reads, Yale SOM's mission statement is to educate leaders for business and society. You have a strong foundation in business. How will the MAM program improve your impact on society? So this is really an opportunity for you to personally connect with our mission statement. Tell us how you connect with it. What does it mean to you? Connect the dots between your MBA experience, the MAM program, and our mission, and really kind of tell us your story and share your voice with us through essay number 1. Essay number 2. How do you think artificial intelligence will affect the way we conduct business? How will it affect your role personally and the way that you approach your work? So there's not really a specific answer that we're looking for here. This is an opportunity for you to kind of reflect on work that you've already done, how you think the business world is going to evolve, and tie in the mission with your goals a little bit here as well. So if you have experience working with artificial intelligence, then this is a good opportunity to kind of share a little bit about that. But really, it's an opportunity for you to just kind of reflect on how you think business is going to be evolving with the introduction of artificial intelligence. Essay number 3. What were your short and long-term goals when you started your MBA? And how will the MAM program influence or change these goals? So obviously this is asking about your goals very directly. So tell us clearly what your short and your long-term goals are, and how do you see the course of your career kind of progressing over time? Um, be reflective about if your goals have changed since you started your MBA, and how the MAM program might continue to change um, or adapt these goals. So tell us, why do you need the MAM program? Are there any skill gaps that you have that you're looking to fulfill through the MAM program? Why do you need the MAM program to achieve your goals? Just be really thoughtful about that. Basically, all of these essay questions are asking you to help us connect the dots. So again, what's your reasoning for looking to take the MAM program? Why is it the right program for you? Um, how does this make sense in your academic journey from your MBA to to the MAM to then your future career goals? Again, you don't really have an opportunity, you don't really have enough space to go off on tangents in these essays. So make sure that you're sticking to the point and you're answering the question directly. Don't forget the basics, proofread. Spell check doesn't always catch everything. Um, and yeah, we're really kind of looking to assess your writing ability and the way that you're able to formulate a point and make an argument in these essays. So that's my best advice for the essays. And for transcripts, we're looking for you to submit a transcript from each degree granting institution that you have attended. So that means if you've ever been on exchange, if you have some transfer credits in your undergrad or for your MBA program, we want to see the transcripts from all of those institutions. Also including the transcript from your MBA program, even if you're still working on it. If you're still currently enrolled in the MBA program, that's okay. Send us the grades that you have so far, and even better if it can list the courses that you're currently taking, even if it's just the names of the courses and you don't have any grades for them yet, that's okay. Unofficial transcripts are fine until you actually enroll. So it can basically just needs to show your name, the institution's name, evidence of successful completion of the courses, so usually grades, the course titles, and it needs to be in English as well. So if it doesn't come in English, then that's okay, but please try and have it translated for us so that we're able to assess it appropriately as well. Okay, and I'm going to hand this over to Matt to talk about test scores.
So test scores. So as mentioned, we are accepting the GMAT or GRE test. Also, the GMAT Focus Edition is now accepted. And this test score is a requirement. So it's not something that we can waive or anything like that. This is something that does need to be a part of your application. And test scores are a good opportunity to show the committee you are capable of success in our curriculum, using something recent to help us understand your skill set and abilities. One thing to note, if you were admitted to your MBA program using a test score, you can still use that even if it is a little bit expired. So just something to note. But this is something, or one of the pieces that we are looking at, and please be sure to have this sent to the MAM program, specifically at Yale SOM. Our test ID numbers, or our, test ID numbers can be found on our website. And just to give you an idea, we don't have a minimum number or a specific number that you have to meet. I think the big thing is do your best on it and submit when you feel ready. So if you feel like your test score may not be where you want it to be, you can still take another test if that's something you want to do and apply in round 3. Make sure that your application is going to be at its strongest with that, but also don't overthink the test score. It's one component of all of these things that we're going to be talking about. So don't overthink it or stress too much if you feel like your test score may be weaker. Make sure that the rest of your application or other parts of your application are strong so that it balances out. Now, looking at the resume, and this is something that tends to be overlooked or sometimes kind of submitted and you don't really think twice about it. And it's something that oftentimes causes some issues. So when submitting it, it's really a snapshot of your professional experience, please make it 1, 2 pages maximum in length if possible, and include all of your work experience to date. Make sure that it's in order, a couple bullet points to kind of explain some of what you did and, a little bit of what you maybe learned while there. And if it's something where it's maybe a smaller company or a foreign company that maybe the committee might not have heard of, it's always good to kind of add a little bit of a description of what it is, just something quick in parentheses so that we have a better understanding of that piece in your application and maybe how it relates to your career goals. And include any activities that are important to you. It's part of the holistic evaluation process. We do like to see, what you've done extracurricular wise. Have you been a part of clubs? Have you volunteered? Do you have certain interests? All of those things kind of help us get a better idea of who you are and what you like to do, or, why you want the program. And again, this is something that's often overlooked. So please keep in mind, spell check as mentioned, and making sure that the formatting and everything is something that's easy to read, easy to go through and understand. And then one other piece to this is please include proof of employment. So that is something like a certificate of completion of an internship or position, pay stubs, something from HR, something to show that, this is something that you actually did, completed, and or are starting. If you are starting a position, let's say summer of 2024, and have an offer letter, submit that offer letter or submit something so that we can see that this is something you're going to be doing or have done. And I'm going to pass it back over to Evelyn to talk about the letters of recommendation.
Thank you. So we do require at least one professional recommendation from either a current or a previous supervisor, somebody that you've worked closely with before. Choose a reference who can speak to your character, performance, and potential. Titles are less important here. It's more important for you to choose somebody who can really speak to what it was like working with you. Tell us some great stories about your working experience together. We're really looking to kind of get to know you a little bit and what it was like working with you through this letter of recommendation. Make sure that you request this well in advance. Sometimes, recommenders are usually really busy people, and it can take them a little bit of time to be able to write your letter. So make sure that you give them plenty of notice to write a really great letter for you. Make sure that you ask them to submit by the application deadline so that we're able to review everything and you have a complete file ready for us when we start reading. I also want to mention that the letter of recommendation needs to be submitted directly from your recommender. Please don't try and upload it yourself. It has to come directly from them, and it has to come directly from their professional email address. So we don't accept Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, QQ, any of those personal email addresses we won't accept. So please make sure that they're aware that it needs to come directly from them, and it needs to come from their professional email address. Sometimes people have a little bit of trouble with a company firewall or some other challenges with that requirement. So if that's the case for you, please reach out to us directly and we will work with you on an alternative solution. Okay, we also require a dean or director letter from your MBA program. So you should check in with your MBA program to determine who this right person will be. It's probably not going to be the dean of your school. It's most likely to be your MBA program director, but it would be best to check in with them to see who would be the right person to write this letter for you. Again, request this well in advance. These are busy people who you're going to be asking for a recommendation letter from, so make sure you give them ample time to do so. Again, it must be submitted by the deadline for us to be able to review your complete file. And with this letter, sometimes we get asked if there's a template or a format that we're looking for. The answer is no, not really. We don't have anything specific or a specific format that we're looking for, but we are basically looking for a character reference from your school, letting us know that you were a good citizen of the school, you participated, and that you did well in the program. So that's really what we're looking for here from the dean or director letter. The other thing, well, we're talking about letters of recommendation, sometimes I know it's common for recommenders to be so busy that they might even say or suggest for you to write the letter yourself, and basically they'll just sign off on it. If that happens to you, then it's time to find a new recommender. You really want to make sure that you find somebody who has the energy and the enthusiasm and the time to write a really great letter for you. So maybe think about taking this person out for coffee, to kind of maybe reminisce about some great stories that you had together. Maybe this is a little more applicable for your professional letter recommendation, probably not so much the director of your MBA program, but just things to think about while you're thinking about this part of the application, the letters of recommendation. And I'm going to hand back over to Matt to talk about the video question.
Video questions. So as I mentioned, you'll submit your application and pay the application fee. And usually within about 24 hours, those video questions will come through. If you don't get those video questions within, I would say, 24 hours, then reach out to us and let us know. But they may not come right away, so just be patient on that. So looking at them, there's going to be 3 video questions. You'll answer them all in one sitting. Please don't refresh your browser or anything like that. You're going to do them all. It should take no less or probably less than 10 minutes to complete all 3 of them. And what we use these for is kind of an opportunity to evaluate your communication skills, evaluate, thinking a little bit on the fly. And we have a number of different video questions. You'll get to see myself or Evelyn pop up and ask the question. And then you're going to go ahead. You'll have, I believe it's 30 seconds to a minute to think about your answer, write down any notes, and then respond to that question. So there's really no true preparation required. In this, it's fine there's no preparation required. It's good to be prepared, but please don't come into this with a full script written out. We can tell oftentimes when someone's just reading off of a piece of paper, or when they prepared for a certain question and, didn't get that one, or things like that. We can tell, and we'd rather have you stumble through the question a little bit, or maybe hit a bump in the question and kind of stop and then finish strong. To us, that shows a lot of, it may not have been perfect, but you were authentic and you recovered from it. We'd rather see that than someone that just reads a script to us or tells us what we want. I think that's the other component, is be authentic to yourself and answer it how you would answer it. Don't just answer it in the way that you think we want to hear it. I think being original really can set students apart and set applicants apart from everyone else. And then the optional information or optional information essay. So really use this to clarify academic history or clarify maybe a gap in your resume. This is not something to send a page in on why you want the program or why you think that you're a great fit for the program. Nothing like that. Use this as a tool to explain maybe that D you got in a class in undergrad or in your MBA program. Use this as an opportunity to explain why there's a 5-month work gap in your resume, what was going on. Those sorts of things really help us get a better sense of, what's going on, what happened, and it kind of clarifies or helps clear up the image of, okay, how did this person get to this point, and all of that sort of stuff. So again, really focus on those odd career moments, resume shifts, things that happen academically, even if it's something maybe personal where something happened personally that affected academics. Those things really help us understand what happened, and definitely add in there what you changed. So maybe you got that D and it was because you weren't studying. Use this as an opportunity to say, reflect on that and also explain what you've changed or what's helped you take steps towards fixing it or, making sure it doesn't happen again. But again, please don't write the optional essay if it's not necessary.
All right, now we're going to open it up for some questions. I see we've already got a few submitted, but please, if you have any more questions that we haven't talked about already today, please use the Q&A feature in the webinar, and we'd be happy to try and answer those for you right now. Okay, let me read a couple of these and see if we can answer them. So one is asking about the GMAT or the GRE score, if it's also required for graduates from GNAM, our global network for advanced management partner schools. Yes, so we need to have a test score from every individual applicant. We're not able to waive this, unfortunately. And so we do, as Matt said already, I think we're also accepting the GMAT Focus, the new format of the GMAT test, and also the GRE. So yeah, unfortunately, there's no way around this one, but we do require a test score from every applicant.
Seeing a question about I'm doing an MBA in a business school online. Is this MBA valid, or would I have to do the MBA at Yale again? So that MBA should be valid just as long as it's an MBA program. It doesn't matter if it's an executive MBA or an MBA online or an MBA in person. We will accept all of those, and it's not something that you would have to retake. And if you had a GMAT or GRE score to get into that program, you can use that again when submitting your application, just to touch on the GMAT, GRE.
Thanks, Matt. There's another question here that I'm seeing about a previous manager, or somebody that an applicant would like to use as a reference, a letter of recommender, and they're between jobs, or maybe they're no longer working at that, the place that you used to work with them together at. So we get asked this a lot, actually, and that's totally fine. They can still be your recommender. If they don't currently have if they're in between jobs and don't currently have a professional email address, just reach out to us. Our email address is advanced.management@yale.edu, and we'll put it up on a slide a little bit later, so you'll have that. But reach out to us and let us know the situation, and we'll work with you to find a workaround. So this person specifically asking if they can submit some kind of proof that they, in fact, were employed by this company, like a payslip or a letter from HR or a contract or something like that. The recommender, that would be fine. Some way for them to verify that they did, in fact, hold this position and they were working together with you in this company or organization, that would be fine. So yes, there are ways that we can work with you to make sure that we're able to accept the recommender of your choice, but just reach out to us so that we can work together with you directly and figure out the best solution for you.
I'm seeing a question about age and if there's any upper limit, and there really isn't. I believe the only thing we kind of note is it's probably best to do it within a few years of completing your MBA, just because you still have that knowledge in your mind and you're still a little bit in that academic mindset. But there's really no upper limit. I believe, I'm not sure if the slide was in this one, but I believe our average age is about 31. And I know we've had students into their 40s that have joined the program. So there really isn't an upper limit. I would say it's more so, just being in that academic mindset and ready to take on the MAM program. Correct me if I'm wrong, Evelyn, if there's anything you want to add.
Great, that's great. You answered that question perfectly.
Okay.
Um, there's another question here again about letters of recommendation, and this time they're asking about the program director, or who's the right person, either the university director or the program director. Probably the program director, just because they'd be able to speak to your experience in your MBA program a little bit more specifically. But it sounds like that you've already maybe uploaded a letter of recommendation from somebody else at your school. So again, feel free to reach out to us at advanced.management@yale.edu, and we can look into your case specifically for you and make sure that the appropriate person has sent a letter for you. Um,
So,
Go ahead, Matt.
oh, I was gonna say, I'm seeing a question here about electives and if some of them are oversubscribed, what's kind of the process for that like? So, when it comes to the courses, most of them they can range anywhere from, I believe, maybe 15, 20 students up to, I don't think it really gets past like 100, and that would be for, the most popular courses. And I know they really try to make sure that, if students want to get into a course, they're able to at some point. But we do have a bidding system, so that's something that you would learn a little bit more about if admitted, but essentially students bid to try and get into classes. So if you're really interested in getting into, trying to think, big data, let's say, and that was the course that you wanted more than anything else, then you would want to bid more points on that. And the students that had bid, let's say, the course had, let's say it has 50 seats, the 50 students that bid the most points that really wanted that course the most, those would be the ones that would essentially get into that course, and be able to take that course. If a student dropped, they would kind of work down the list to 51, 52, but kind of in as simplified a term as I think I can make it, that would be how that would work. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, Evelyn, on kind of that application or bidding process for courses.
Yeah, I think no, I think you did a great job answering that. So yeah, as Matt mentioned, we have a bidding system where everyone's able to kind of allocate points um, in an auction round to bid for the classes that you want to take. And so there are multiple rounds, so you're able to drop courses or add courses that might have seats open up later. So that's basically how the school kind of handles demand for electives. Um, and many of the electives run in both the fall and the spring semester. So obviously, if there's one that you really, really want to take, it's probably a good idea to try and take it in the fall, just in case if it's oversubscribed, then you might have a second chance to get into it in the spring as well. Also, the most popular electives often have more than one section. So generally it works out that people are able to take what they really want to take. So hopefully that helps to answer the question or calm any fears that you might not be able to take the classes that you have your heart most set on. But obviously that's a little bit up to you with the auction as well. If there's something that you really, really want to take, then you'd bid more points to make sure that you get in.
I'm
Great.
seeing a question. Is there a way to assess my current MBA curriculum's alignment with Yale MAM's program requirements? I don't really think there's a specific way to do that. I think, our requirements, they're a little bit more, again, it's a holistic view. So we look at each component of it. So, yes, we'll look at your MBA transcript and kind of what that is, but we do also look at the GMAT, GRE, GMAT focus test score. We look at your essays. We're looking at the video questions. We're looking at each component of the application. So that's just one component. And I don't think we're going to dive too deep into, what that curriculum may have been, just because every MBA program is a little different. Um, but they touch on really that management, business specific stuff. And I think the MAM is sort of an opportunity to add to what maybe your MBA program missed. So in a way, I think it's a good thing that most MBA programs are a little different, because if there's something that you feel like maybe you missed or you didn't get enough of in your MBA, this is that opportunity to add that skill or add that knowledge to your toolbox essentially. So I think in some ways, I don't think there is a way to really assess the alignment, but take a look at maybe what you've learned in that program and what you feel like maybe you didn't learn or you wanted to learn and didn't get enough of. And consider that when looking at the MAM, because it's a great opportunity to dive deeper into those topics or learn those topics with all the flexibility you have.
Great. I'm seeing a couple of questions here about timeline and like when to apply or when this program would begin, when you should begin this program. So we only have an August start date. We don't have two separate cohorts, we don't have a January start date. We only start the program in August. Um, so someone's saying that they're going to be starting their MBA in the fall of 2024. So you would be able to start at the MAM program the following year in the fall of 2025. So that would make you the class of 2026. So you might want to apply at this point next year. It looks like you're actually starting your MBA at UBC. So that would mean that you could apply in our round one. Our round one is reserved for our partner schools of our global in the global network, the GNAM partner schools. So if you're doing an MBA at UBC, then you definitely would be able to apply in round one, and the deadline is generally early January for that. There's another person who's talking about graduating in March of 2025. So that would be the same case. So you would probably want to apply either at this point next year in order to join the MAM class of 2026 and start the program in the fall of 2025. The only thing I could say about that, we do have concurrent degree programs with several partner schools. So it could be possible um, for you to take the MAM next year in the class of 2025, beginning this coming August 2024. If we have a concurrent degree agreement with your MBA school. So again, reach out to us at advanced.management@yale.edu, and we can look into your case specifically to see what your best options might be.
And just to touch on, I'm also seeing, I believe for the UBC student who was curious, they're starting in the fall. I'm seeing the question about the GRE in 2015. So as long as you can get the GRE score sheet, you can certainly submit that test score if that was the one that you used to get into or gain entrance to your MBA program. And then if you wanted to, though, I know that you said, or should I take the exam again? If you want to, you certainly can. It's up to you whether you'd like to use that score or if you wanted to take it again. But you could use that score from 2015 as long as that's the one that you used to get into or gain entry into UBC. And then as Evelyn said, with the UBC, because it is a GNAM, you can join in round one. And I wanted to touch on, where was it? I just saw the question. So outside of the two classes, so the global leadership courses, do we have many opportunities to come together as a cohort? So there are a number of different opportunities with that. A lot of things throughout the year, they'll kind of have you, join with your class and do different things. But throughout the year, I think that's one of the great opportunities with this program as well, is you have a lot of different people that you're going to meet. So you're going to be in class not just with MAM students, but also with MBA students, asset management, systemic risk, global business and society. You're going to be in class with all of these students from across different programs. And I think that's one of the unique features of this. You'll also have a number of MAM students in all of those courses. There are also clubs that you can join that are going to have, MAMs, MBAs, all of those students. And I think that's one of the great things is our students, specifically in the MAM, I know I've spoken with them and they've said they really enjoy the fact that they get to meet all of these students from across SOM and even across Yale with the flexibility of the program. But they do love the global leadership course because that is one of the times that they can just be together as a cohort. But I also know a lot of the students get together, whether it be for their own little pizza parties or different things that they like to do throughout the year. And they are a very close-knit cohort, it seems like.
Yeah, I would echo that as well. There's a cohort representative that's elected at the beginning of the year to kind of represent this cohort, and it's a pretty small cohort. Generally around between like 50 to 70 is where we usually land each year. So it's a pretty small group, and I would definitely say that there's generally like a very close-knit, tight community between the students in the MAM program each year. So it's a really nice program in that way as well. So there's a couple of people asking about the double degree program that we have. And I actually want to go back to the applicant who asked earlier about the UBC program and starting the MBA with UBC in the fall of 2024. So with UBC and actually with HSA as well, we recently announced a new partnership with HSA, which is really exciting. With these two schools, we have a partnership that's pretty special, and you can actually apply for both programs at the same time. So you can apply to do your MBA with either UBC or with HSA, and at the same time, in the same application year, you can apply to do the MAM as well. So obviously the MAM wouldn't start until the following year, but you can apply for admission for both at the same time so that you really know, what the next 1 to 2 years of your life might look like, and you can plan accordingly. So the way that you would do that is by applying to the partner school first. So you'd be applying to UBC or to HSA for their MBA program, and then they will submit your application to us directly as well. So for HSA, they will send us directly all of your application materials, and then we'll be in touch with you with additional materials that we might need, and then send you links like the video question link that you could do separately as well for our application material purposes. With UBC, it's a little bit different. They don't send us your application materials, so you'll need to submit you'll need to start an application in our system as well, just like normal, and then we'll notice that you will be applying for the following cohort year, but we can still assess your application this year and allow you or either admit you or release a decision this year as well. So hopefully that helps. Ask a follow-up question if you have further questions about that, but hopefully that gives a little bit of clarity around that process.
So I'm seeing here a couple questions that'd be fun to answer. So are there differences in your consideration and applications between round 2 and 3? And then I'm also seeing one about the scholarship opportunities and if they reduce based on round. So the scholarship opportunities don't reduce based on round. We do have a lot of scholarship money that, we are looking at all students and really evaluating every component. So no, if you're worthy of scholarship considerations, you'll definitely be earning that scholarship, whether in rounds 2 or 3. The differences, I really don't think there's any differences application-wise. I think the big difference comes down to, I'm going to say more the personal side or getting started at Yale. I think looking for housing can sometimes, be part of that. In round 3, you're a little bit closer to starting versus round 2, getting your visa and all of those sorts of components. It's absolutely something doable. I can say we have a student right now in the program that he submitted, I want to say it was like an hour before the deadline, got the video questions and completed them like 30 minutes before the deadline. And he was admitted to the program and he's currently at Yale right now, going through it. So there are opportunities in both rounds 2 and 3. I think the real only difference would be when it comes to getting that visa and some of that stuff, you have a little bit less time. But if you're someone that's on top of things and ready to go, then you should be fine. The only other component I would say to that is if you don't feel confident with your application in round 2, that's okay. And, make sure you feel confident, comfortable, and ready to submit before you submit. Don't just submit in round 2 because, you want to get your application. Make sure it's the best and that you feel confident in everything you're submitting. Not sure if there's anything you want to add to that about the round 2, 3 kind of difference, Evelyn.
Yeah, I think honestly it's more for you so that you can just know earlier, you have more time to prepare for your visa application. Some students who, depending on where you're from, round 3 can be a little bit tight to get a visa. Um, we we actually moved the deadline up a little bit this year for that reason for round 3, so that it just gives people a little bit extra time to get their visa. But from our perspective, there's not really any difference. As Matt said earlier, we reserve seats in each round for students to be admitted into the program. But I think, if you can, I would recommend applying by round 2 just so that you know earlier what the outcome is going to be, and then you can plan accordingly.
Definitely.
Um,
And I did see one other question that, so how many applicants apply that are in schools in the US? And this student looks like is at Georgetown potentially. And notice that, we do have a lot of international students. And so one of the big things is we do have the global network. And because of that, we do have partnerships, as mentioned, with HSA, UBC, HKUST. There's, I believe, 31, 32 schools in that global network. And they are all international schools. So we do tend to have good relationships with those schools. And a lot of those schools will kind of talk about our program. That's not to say, though, that we don't get students from within the US. And that is something that we've noticed. It kind of varies year to year, but we do get students from US schools that will often apply if there is something that they're looking to further shore up in their skill set, or if they want to dive a little bit deeper into something. I think just because we have those relationships, though, with say UBC, HKUST, all those schools, we do tend to get a lot of applications from those schools, inevitably. But that's not to say we don't have students from US schools or from the US.
Yeah, and we also just recently opened up the MAM program to to students from around the world. So previously, up until about last year or the year before, the MAM program was actually only eligible for students from GNAM schools. So now it's really exciting that we've opened it up to top business school students from around the world. And so we're definitely excited to be receiving applications from students from other schools as well. So we do see a lot of students coming from global network schools, but we're also seeing more and more students coming from other schools around the world as well. So there's a question here about a freelancer, and they're wondering how they can provide proof of employment, which is a great question. I would say if you have any pay stubs or contracts that you've written up to work with somebody else, those would be great. If you have any kind of business license or any kind of official documentation about your business and your freelance business, that would be suitable as well. You could provide tax documentation to show kind of earnings or something official that kind of shows proof of your organization or your company. All of those things would be fine. So you're also welcome to, again, email us directly and we can try and either take a look or suggest some documentation that might work for you. But that's a great question. Another question here about the grading system at Yale. So there is a grading curve, and electives, I think, don't have to stick to it, but so therefore they don't have to have certain number at the bottom and certain number at the top of the grading scale. But generally, faculty will kind of use a grading curve for their classes. There's a standardized grading system for the entire school, so it doesn't depend on the subject. It's going to be one grading system for each class that you'll participate in, but they don't necessarily have a certain number of students that they have to kind of have at the bottom end of that scale, if that makes sense. Okay, another question about the video questions and what kind of questions we'll be asking. So I can't reveal what they're going to be because kind of the point is that it's to kind of see you respond to a question that you're asked on the spot. But there are no right or wrong answers, so we can say that. And really, the goal of the video questions is just to kind of see you respond on the spot, formulate a point, and just kind of talk out loud. So don't worry about them. Don't get nervous. They're pretty short and they're supposed to be fun. They're fun for us on the receiving end. They're a real opportunity for us to get to know you as a candidate and have your candidacy kind of come alive off of a page for us. So don't be nervous about them and just have fun with them is my best advice.
Graduated more than 8 years ago from an MBA program from one of the GNAM institutions. Are there any minimum score criteria for the program? So there are no minimum score criteria. We don't require TOEFL or anything like that either. The big thing would be, just make sure that you submit a GMAT, GRE, or GMAT focus test to us. And if that's the one that you use to get into your MBA program, again, we will accept that if expired, because I know 8 years ago might be expired at this point. But if that's the one you use to get into your MBA program at that GNAM school, that's totally acceptable. And again, if it's something that you feel like, maybe you feel like you want to try and get it up, you can absolutely take the test again and submit that. If you feel comfortable and confident with it, that's fine to submit that. Again, it's one component of the overall application. So it is something that we're going to look at, take into consideration, but it's not something that is going to be the deal breaker or something that is going to, really overshadow your resume or your GPA or the video questions, or each piece is looked at and evaluated.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Another student here is asking about visas. So we do sponsor F1 visas for our international students. And just again, thinking about timelines for that. So I would recommend, if you can, if you feel that you have enough time to prepare a good application by round 2. Obviously, the deadline is coming up February 21st. I would definitely recommend trying to meet that deadline again, just so that you know the result earlier. You have more time to plan and prepare for your visa application, and just to kind of get all of that ready, so that you're definitely ready with plenty of time to get here for the start of the program in August. But again, if you feel that you don't have enough time to prepare as much as you would like to for the application deadline in next week, then you can wait until round 3 and apply then. It just gives you less time, especially to get your visa, because you won't know for a few more months what the result will be. So I guess it's an individual call based on when you think you'll be able to prepare and put together your best application. But I always kind of recommend erring on the side of caution, so that so that you have plenty of time for all of these things. And perfect timing. We have one final question here that I'll answer quickly, and then we're going to leave you with one final piece of advice from both Matt and myself before we wrap up this webinar right on time. So the student is asking here about the number of applications that we get yearly. We don't really have statistics that we can release on this, particularly because, as I mentioned earlier, we just recently opened the program to non-GNAM schools, so schools from all around the world. So our numbers are looking different each year. What I can say is that it's a competitive program. So, we definitely have lots of applicants each year, and we're always excited to get applicants from all over the world, from top business schools, and to put together a really unique class. So would love to see your applications. Hopefully lots of you today are thinking about applying as well. Okay, so I think that's all the questions that we answered, but we're going to leave you now with one final piece of advice. Matt, do you want to start off and share with everyone your last words of wisdom?
Sure. So I think my final piece of advice would really be to plan ahead. With the deadlines coming up soon, that February 21st deadline, or I believe it was April 19th, I think, deadline can really sneak up on you. And we may not be able to move forward with your application if it's not complete. Same goes for, letter of recommendations. We do need both letters of recommendation, and it's usually good, as Evelyn kind of noted, to ask them in advance. They're probably very busy people, so it's definitely something you want to make sure you have time, or you give them time to sit down and write that out. So really make sure to plan ahead and just have a good understanding of what the program is, what it can offer you, and really what you can gain from it. Take a couple minutes to think about that and really consider that when you're about to write your essay questions, potentially answer video questions, going through all of that, because then you can kind of highlight that and share that with us. What about yourself, Evelyn?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I definitely agree with that. It's definitely important to plan ahead and be prepared and make sure that you're hitting those deadlines, and you're not feeling rushed at any point as well. What I would add to that, I think, is to remember to be authentic. Show us who you are through this application process. We're really looking to try and get to know you. Don't tell us what you think we want to hear. Be true and authentic to yourself. Tell us what makes you unique. Um, yeah, connect the dots for us. Why does this make sense for you? What did you gain from your MBA program, but why is the MAM program a good fit for you? What are you going to get out of it? Do you have skills that you're still looking to develop? Or what specifically about the MAM program is drawing you to apply to it? And how is it going to help you in your next career move? Also, follow instructions carefully. I can't say this enough either. Sometimes, again, when people are kind of rushing through the application, they either might miss a step or they might misunderstand or misread the instructions in the application. So just make sure that you're taking your time and you're really reading and following everything carefully as well. So hopefully that helps. For our last slide, we have a QR code here that will take you to our website. Also, my colleague Elena, who's working the magic behind the scenes for this webinar, has posted the brochure in the chat. So please take a minute to download that, and you can look at it on your own after this webinar is finished. But again, the QR code here is going to take you to our website, which has lots more information and of course a link to the application. You can also see the URL down here at the bottom of the page. And then our email address again is advanced.management@yale.edu. We really just encourage you to reach out to us at any time. We're always happy to work with individuals who are, considering the application or have questions about the process. So please don't hesitate to reach out, and we're more than happy to kind of talk through the process with you. So on that note, I think we're actually even a little bit over time. So thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and hopefully this has been helpful. But again, feel free to reach out to us at any time if you'd like to continue the conversation or have any additional questions. We're always here and happy to interact with you. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.